America, my name is Osei-Frimpong. I come to you every week. Today we're going to talk about arguments. I want you to, in the comments, drop down which arguments have actually worked for you, which actually changed not just your behavior, and even if it hasn't changed your behavior, the way you think about your behavior, because you're part of what you do is how you think about what you do. We understand that in something like criminal justice, where you are judged based on not just what you do, but your intent in doing it. So I want to know which arguments have actually changed your intent, have changed how you think about what you do. Was it the divorce is a form, especially no-fault divorce is a form of child abuse? It's a peculiar form of child abuse because you're asking the children to reconcile something that the adults have said can't be reconciled, or that they don't want the responsibility of the reconciling. So they've figured out a way to take the cross off of themselves and put it onto the child, the very vulnerable shoulders of the child. So yeah, divorce is as a form of child abuse. That's just, not really recognized. Maybe the argument about black wealth, and that the notion that just like spending the black dollar in a black store doesn't actually lead to real assets. Maybe the notion that the Democratic Party, if the Democratic Party wins on a wave of abortion voters because they're upset about the repeal of Roe and the installation of Dobbs, that might actually drag the party to the right, Because all these women, especially white women who don't really care about black assets, now come into the party and will drag the party to the right. You can be democratically elected and not particularly great for black people. You're not going to get a bluer state than California, and a bluer region in California than something like San Francisco. But it's not as if those places, either California or San Francisco, are like black people meccas and the land of milk and honey for black people. So you can be, so I actually think if Democrats win on a wave of pro-abortion votes that come over, it might just drag the party to the right in a way that's, it's not going to actually change assets. And I do think that any conversations that have to do with racial justice, especially involving black people, that don't concern securing black people and black families and institutions' assets is just a waste of time. It's just a waste of time. You need to tell me and account for how money is going to be moved from here to like black families. You need to account for that, right? So these are all arguments that, and also, a lot of people get paid to tell you that black people have enough money. It's just, we don't have the culture. But then insofar as that is true, not that we have the money, but we don't have the culture. Because I'm one of those people who think that, our culture's adequate, not great, adequate, but we definitely don't have the money. So we have a culture that was organized around surviving with simply not enough assets, right? So there would be a cultural change if black people got assets that I think would be able to be autonomously led development. There needs to be development, but that development can be autonomously led by black people if black people had assets. But now you're expecting a cultural change without an asset change is a little bit ridiculous. Also, another argument I've been giving for a few years now is that the means of changing culture are not owned by black people. The means, and that matters. I could have the best idea in the world, but if it can't get disseminated because, the algorithm doesn't appreciate it, or everyone is too scared to share the video. By the way, you should go ahead and first go to www.funkyacademics.com and kick in $5, $15, and $50 a month and share this video to all of your friends. So that I can kind of keep doing what I'm doing, because I'm giving you a quality, I think, of insight and values that you don't get in the mainstream media ecosystem. Right? They're not going to invite me on the Breakfast Club because they'd rather have clowns like Umar, right? So I'm telling you that anything that doesn't move money into black people at the large money, not individual donations, large, I'm talking about multi-million-dollar contracts, not for NBA players, but for plumbers that building an office building. Like those are the kinds of contracts that I'm talking about. So anything that doesn't move assets into the black community, it's just kind of a waste. They'll have you talking about pronouns, not assets. I'm here saying that you need to force anybody who's supposed to be for you to talk about assets in your pockets and what we need to do to get those assets. And then we can talk about the cultural changes we need once we actually have the assets. But right now we don't have access to the assets. And we don't have access to the communication mechanisms. There is no communications infrastructure. Because those kind of communication infrastructures are often dues paying, but we don't have dues paying. We have white philanthropy paid infrastructure. Because in order to have dues paying infrastructure, a real dues paying infrastructure, what you need is disposable income. But we don't have disposable income. We have, of the people, of the black people who are watching this, the wealthiest person in the family is probably a nurse married to, the wealthiest family unit is probably a nurse married to a cop, which is real money, which is real black money, but it's just not real money. It's just real black money, right? But that's like that's the kind of like stable black money that's supposed to hold up entire neighborhoods, like one of those kinds, or entire clans, right? That's just not a recipe for like community-wide. Having one of those kinds of families is just not a recipe for community-wide uplift. So we need something like reparations. Actually, not even something like reparations. We need reparations in order to actually secure black people the assets that they not only deserve, but they actually were cheated out of and now need, so that then they could, build culture around independent assets. Right. So I want you to know, because like the arguments I give for the policies and behavior are just important as a behavior. They're actually part of the behavior. So if you can have the same behavior but for a different reason, you're actually having a different behavior. It just appears to be the same. Like I said, we were clear about this in criminal justice, less clear about this in other aspects of our life. And then psychology will get you confused about this because they just want to change your behavior with the assumption that they have no business changing your intention behind the behavior. I'm the opposite way. I want to change your mind, and then you could read a book like Atomic Habits or something like that to change your actual behavior. But I think what's in your mind matters because I treat you like a conscious person. I care what you think, not just that you vote for the same person I'm voting for. I want you to do it for the right reason, because your reasons will stabilize and they're connected to other reasons, and your reasons actually make you who you are. Even more than, since they're a part of your actions, they're folded into your actions. So your reasons actually figure in who you are. And I want you to be the best person you can be. And that not just means like being a robot that does the right things, but being a person who does the right things for the right reasons. And then you can justify the right things, and then you won't screw up your kids. Because if you do the right things for the wrong reasons, then your kids might not do those right things because you never gave them a reason to. You just kind of taught them by habit. But what if they think of themselves, think on their own? So I give you the kind of reasons you can give to your kids so that your kids don't end up wastrels. And so that you yourself don't waste your life and squander it. Because even if you did the right thing for the wrong reasons, you'll have blind spots. You don't know why you did what you did, and bad things happen. So I want to give you the kinds of reasons to do the kinds of things you ought to do, even if you are already doing the things you want to do. Now, a lot of people make money on YouTube by preaching to a choir. And I'm sure some of you people come to my YouTube channel to hear things that you already think are true. You just want to see my wonderful face give you reasons why what you already think is true is true. That's great, and you should give to www.funkyacademic.com because I make you feel some sort of way about your wisdom. But I'm more interested in giving you reasons to change your mind. So if you've changed your mind in any way, and that's what I want to know. What arguments or what points have I made that you've seen that have actually changed you, where you say, well, before I saw this video, I thought this. But then I saw the video and then I was really mad. And then I thought about it for a while and I realized that actually, Z. right? So I want to know the arguments that actually changed your mind, because I'm not just here. So I'm not just here to tell you what you want to hear or to make a lot of money by ushering in an amen chorus. I want to actually challenge you and to actually change your mind to understand what you're doing, and kind of understanding like how there might have been a cultural lacuna, a cultural gap in your formation, so that you hadn't heard these arguments before, and what we can do to kind of more mainstream the arguments in general. So once again, in the comments, go ahead and put which arguments I've given you over the course of whatever many shows that actually changed your mind, where you started out A and went to B. Now, if no arguments have actually changed your mind about anything, I think that's too bad. That means I'm not doing my job. That means I'm not doing my job, and I need to think about a different way to do the job, because I want to actually change minds, not just tell people what they want to hear. Because that's, that is a way to make money, but that's not a way to actually increase the quality of your life. And I try to do this as a service. And if you appreciate my service, go ahead and go to www.funkyacademic.com. But I don't just do it just to fillet you and make you feel some sort of way. Speaking of fellatio, haktua. Let's. The funny thing about this is, in a world where, women put so much, some women put so much, and make it so hard to find someone who will willfully and joyfully perform oral sex on you. They make it so hard. I think the haktua kind of phenomenon is just like the joy of seeing someone who's with a good sense of humor, who's eagerly trying to find, who's eagerly to please a dude, and is not going to punish the dude for wanting to be pleased. I really think that's the whole, it's just refreshing, because sex is everywhere, both on the internet and music and all of that stuff. But it's always if not always, but it's often enough women punishing you, or for you desiring them. And this wasn't that. This wasn't, you desire me, so I'm going to punish you and make you jump through a bunch of hoops because I'm so desirable. This is just I have fun doing this for this guy, and the guys like it, and cool. Which is good, because, a lot of guys spend years trying to get good oral sex, and will control their whole lives, organize their whole lives around, their late teens and 20s around good oral sex. And she's just saying I'm not gonna make it jump through a million hoops. And I think that was refreshing for enough Americans that they that it's become an entire moment on the internet. By the way, if that argument changed your mind in any way, go ahead and put that in the comments. But that's all I have to say. I want to hear the arguments that changed mine. And put them in the comment, and I will, and also go ahead and go for the arguments that you want me to go a little bit deeper on, that almost change your mind. You just want me to hit a little bit harder and punch a little bit with more fervor. And maybe I'll do that too. But I definitely want the arguments that change your mind. And because you thought one way, you heard the arguments, you went and mulled about it for a little bit, you asked around, and now you realize that the people who are on the other side of me are the enemy. And I was actually trying to tell you the truth, so you don't squander what power you have. Thank you for your time, and I will talk to you probably next week. Peace.